owner and founder of Bold Branch Beef, which is a grass-fed and finished farm here in Edmonton, Virginia. It's about 10 to 15 minutes outside of downtown Lynchburg. Consider Bold Branch to be within I think it's a 200-mile radius. So we're about 4 to 5 miles from downtown Lynchburg, so I consider us to be hyper-local. What you see here is what we've got. Which is just, pasture with grass and cows. No feedlots. We don't give them any antibiotics. We don't give them any hormones, and we certainly don't give them any grain. I mean, these cows eat grass their entire lives. I mean, that little guy right there that was just sucking on his mom, he was born earlier this morning, probably about 12 to 16 hours ago, and this is where he'll be for the rest of his life. Like I said, he was born 12 to 16 hours ago, and for the first couple of months he'll drink almost exclusively milk, and then after that he'll start supplementing his diet with a little bit of grass. At first they just eat grass because that's what mom does, and they like to imitate their mom, but eventually he'll be like the rest of these cows, and after they're weaned especially, and eat grass exclusively. There's a lot of confusion over what the terms grass-fed and grass-finished means. Grass-fed is kind of a way people cheat and cover up what they're doing. You can still be grass-fed but feed grain. It doesn't make any sense. I think there's a lot of lobbying dollars behind it to get that terminology made like it is. And honestly, from a grass-finished producer standpoint like my own, it's kind of frustrating because it undermines what we're doing. Somebody has one bad experience, finds out grass-fed means that they're still eating animals that were given grain, and it turns them off to the entire local meat and local food movement altogether, which isn't right. So grass-fed really doesn't mean much. It means the animal starts out on grass, but after that they're finished on grain. Now, finished means exactly what it sounds like. Finished is when an animal is fattened for slaughter. Some people will fatten their animals for slaughter just the last month of their lives. Some people will fatten an animal the last year of its life. When you slaughter an animal, you usually raise it to about 2 years old. Pretty much that 22 to 26 month range is pretty optimum for most breeds of animal. And it kind of differs with each farm and the grass they're exposed to and that kind of thing. But when you can feed them grain for half their life, it really impacts the meat. It changes the omega-3 to 6 ratio. It increases the saturated fats. I think those are the ones that aren't good for your heart. It drastically increases the calorie count. And almost all the things that we attribute red meat to, all the negative attributes of red meat, come from animals growing in feedlots, being pumped full of grain, being pumped full of antibiotics, and a vicious cycle. I'll document that in another video. But so grass-fed really doesn't mean much, except the animal has had grass before, but was supplemented or finished on a diet of grain. That doesn't have to exclusively be grain. That can be some grass and bring them in every morning and dumping 5 pounds, 10 pounds of grain in them. But that drastically changes the meat and reverses all the health benefits of eating pasture-based beef in the first place. So what we do, what's up, little lady? Can you smile for the camera? Can you smile for the camera? Oh, don't be scared. So what we do is we raise our animals in what we call a pasture-based system, which is where they never go in feedlots. They're free-ranging. I mean, they can go. I'm in a 17-acre field right now. They've got this one. They've got a field over there that's about 6 acres. That field over there is 4.5. There are a bunch of woods. There are a bunch of little parcels. So right now they're probably in a large area. We're trying to fix that with some intensive grazing, where you put them on a smaller plot and make them eat there. It's better for the ground and for the grass and for the soil and all that stuff, and better for the water table, honestly. But we're getting there. It just takes a lot of money in fencing and infrastructure and a lot of work too. So we'll get there eventually. But when you finish an animal on grass, that means from birth to death they eat nothing but grass, and that's what our animals are. So we can say they're 100% grass-fed and finished, meaning they've never been given grain at all. Now, grass-fed and finished doesn't address, giving them steroids and growth hormones. It also doesn't address giving them antibiotics. And so we say, when I describe to people what we do, I say we're grass fed and finished. We don't ever give them grain. We don't ever add any additional hormones. You know, all living creatures have hormones. So legally, the USDA told me this, legally I'm not allowed to say that they're hormone free, because they aren't. All living creatures have hormones, but we don't add any hormones. A lot of times what people will do, they used to do a shot. They're not allowed to do the shot anymore, but they'll put a little packet in their ear, and what it does is it slowly releases those growth hormones into their ears. And some producers swear by it because they say it makes their animal grow a lot faster. I talked to one old timer that said for every $2 of growth hormone he puts in them, he sees a $20 return on his dollar. So that means for a $2 tag, he's getting $40 back in added growth, because they grow faster, they grow bigger, they get stronger. It's like the very bonds of the cattle world. And then as far as antibiotics, we don't treat our animals with antibiotics. If one were deathly sick and we had to treat them with antibiotics, we would take them out of our meat program. Instead, we'd just send them off to the commodity market. So what that does is it makes sure the consumer knows they're not getting any more antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance is a real thing, and it's becoming more and more of a problem. Just this winter, actually, my dad had a sinus infection, and he went and they gave him a low-grade antibiotic, and it didn't clear him up. 5 or 6 days later, he went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, if I'd given you that 20 to 25 years ago, that would have cleaned you up and knocked the sinus infection out and everything else. And she said, but because of all the antibiotics we're exposed to in our food, that antibiotic resistance is passed on to the microbes in our body. At least I think that's how it worked. I didn't get very good grades in chem too, but so then she had to prescribe a much stronger Z-Pack, which cleared up his sinus infection. But the worry is that one day you're gonna really need those antibiotics, say you have a staph infection or something like that, and those and the antibiotics won't work because the microbes have got immunity. And so that's what we're trying to steer clear of. That, and you know, the effects of antibiotics on your system over a long term aren't greatly documented by science, and so we're not quite sure how that changes your physical makeup. I'm of the opinion that when you're putting chemicals in your body, it can't be doing chemicals like that, I should say. It can't be doing anything great when you're pumping yourself full of antibiotics. And see, even when you give an animal growth hormones, those are transmitted into our bloodstream. So there's well documented research showing that children are reaching puberty earlier than they had in the past. You know, my generation reached puberty faster than our parents' generation, and it looks like it's going to continue doing that. And so it's full of nasty health effects. We don't want any 7-year-old kids with beards out there. So make sure you're feeding your family something that is clean, it's naturally raised. We're not allowed to call ourselves organic. We are organic, but we're not allowed to call ourselves that because I refuse to pay the couple $1,000 fee to the USDA. It kind of seems like a racket if you ask me. A couple $1,000, a couple years of keeping intense notes, and then all the red tape you have to go through working with such a big bureaucracy. I'm not real sold on the organic movement anyways. I think there's enough money in play in it that it's really altering what it started out as. It started out as something great, but all these big boys are smelling that there's money out there and there's a premium to be had, and so they're flooding the market with so-called organic stuff, and it's not what it's made out to be. So make sure you get to know your local farmer. Come out and take a tour of your local farm. People are certainly welcome to come out and tour our place. And when you know where your food is coming from, you can have a lot more confidence in it. And you keep the money in your community. You know, we live in the community, and everything we do is community-based, so why shouldn't our shopping and our business be community-based instead? That's how it was in the past, and hopefully that's how it's returning to be. The local food movement's a really vibrant community now, and it's really picked up steam. And so we certainly appreciate everybody that supported us and everybody that supported other local farmers. Thank you for staying with me to the end. If you want to learn more about us, or our farm, or where to get our beef, or our farming practices, you can check out www.boldbranchbeef, that's B-O-L-D branch as in tree branch beef.com, boldbranchbeef.com. Thank you for watching and have a good day.